Did you know that Marie Antoinette and Napoleon's sister both owned Breguet watches? A watch inspired by one of theirs has even made it to the modern era. Stay with us and find out which one. Breguet is a Swiss-French luxury watch brand that dates back to 1775. It was founded by Abraham Louis Breguet, a well-respected craftsman known in the world of watchmaking as the person who innovated the rotor-type self-winding system and the early tourbillon mechanism, which makes watches keep time more accurately and is still in use today. Let's take a look at the top 10 watches from Breguet on the market today. At number 10, we have the Breguet Type XXI 3810. What's interesting is that the Type 20 series by Breguet was designed in the 1950s for the French Air Naval Army officers, and therefore has a highly rugged design, but this model incorporates a titanium casing. You'll notice first of all the 3 subdials with the date, a 12-hour chronograph and a 24-hour day and night indicator. A beautiful movable bezel surrounds the watch, complete with an uneven edge. This self-winding watch features 2 prominent pushers as well as a crown between them. Another unique thing you'll notice is the presence of 4 hands. The main hour and minute hands as well as the hour markers are luminous, and there are 2 slender additional hands that keep track of the chronograph seconds and minutes. This piece definitely lives up to its military inspirations. Collectors of this watch will be able to choose either a leather strap or a titanium one, but of course a titanium strap just makes this piece all the more intimidating. At number 9, we have the Breguet Marine Chronograph 5827, a masterpiece that is inspired by marine aesthetics. Those with a trained eye will notice many of Breguet's signature marks on this watch immediately, including the presence of a gear-shaped background at the dark center of the watch face and the unmistakable coin-edge casing. The masterful but clean bezel is 2-tiered, with 2 rather wide pushers. The hour and minute indicators on the dial are split into 2 layers, with the minute markers on the outer circle, while the hour markers are placed in a smaller circle within. Fascinatingly, the hour markers on this watch are done in Roman numerals. Truly a watch for learned gentlemen. At number 8 is the Breguet Classique Hora Mundi 5717. Those who are familiar with Breguet's Hora Mundi series know that these watches are made exclusively for travelers, and the large map on the dial with hand-engraved waves in the background is a clear indicator of that. Collectors and enthusiasts will be glad to know that the dial comes in 3 different versions, with 3 different maps, namely the American continent, Europe, Africa, and Asia, Oceania. Central hands indicate the hour, minutes, and seconds, while a smaller dial indicates day and night. This inner dial is fascinating, with a golden sun moving and hiding behind clouds as the day progresses. Hour markers are done in dark Roman numerals, but what really makes this watch stand out are the 2 small displays at the top and bottom of the watch. The bottom display has the names of the biggest cities in the world, and adjusting it with the nearby crown causes an instant change in the time, day and night indicator, as well as the date displayed at the top. Truly a mechanical marvel for those who love these analogous innovations. Talking about mechanical marvels, number 7 is definitely a classic example of Breguet's obsession with horological ingenuity. The Breguet Double Tourbillon 5347 incorporates not 1, but 2 tourbillon mechanisms connected by a bridge to a central plate. Each tourbillon completes a full rotation within 12 hours. The central plate is hand-engraved with the signature Breguet gear-shaped pattern and can be customized to your specifications in terms of color, of which there are 3 to choose from. Of course, the presence of the 2 tourbillon mechanisms, a balance spring with Breguet overcoil over a Rose engine, makes this one of Breguet's most accurate timepieces that keeps its accuracy beyond expectations. At number 6 is a particularly complex piece, the Breguet Marine Equation Marchante 5887, with a particularly large dial and complex mechanism featuring a tourbillon as well. This watch is set on a handcrafted panel that looks like waves, while 4 hands move around a central dial, which is located slightly off-center. This unique placement is so that they can fit the tourbillon mechanism at the 5 o'clock position, where you can see a bean-shaped cam, which is part of the watch's equation of time complication, sitting underneath a particularly long bridge. EOT, as it's called, is the difference between the true time of the day according to the sun and the calculated modern time of the day. Although not very relevant today, this feature was crucial in maritime navigation. The EOT is indicated by a hand resembling the sun, while two other hands indicate the hour and minute. A fourth hand is there to indicate the date. Two windows are also present on the watch face, indicating the day and month respectively. We've now come to the timepiece inspired by Napoleon's sister. At number 5 is the Breguet Reine de Naples 9835. This watch is definitely more of a piece of jewellery, yet carries many of Breguet's signature features. The Reine de Naples series is inspired by the original watch presented by Abraham Louis Breguet to Caroline Bonaparte, younger sister of Napoleon and Queen of Naples in her own right. The oval shape is the overarching character of this series, and the 9835 brings it to an elegant height with a dial flange, lug and crown set with diamonds. The dial is a reverent marine blue mother of pearl with enchanting guilloche patterns, which makes it change hue in different light. Curved expanding hands indicate the time, with easy-to-read Arabic numerals at every quarter of an hour. Of course, the expanding hands is what makes the Reine de Naples stand out. These heart-shaped hands are able to expand when they reach the top of the dial, and then contract at the bottom, so that the hands always reach the hour markers in this egg-shaped watch, just like magic. If you love simplicity and minimalism, you'll love number 4, the Breguet Classique 5157. It is a relatively thin watch that doesn't do too much to stand out. Instead, it relies on understated elegance and subtle craftsmanship. The watch is made of 18-karat yellow or white gold, with tight and uniform guilloche markings on its silvered gold dial, almost like something a schoolmaster would wear. Practical, disciplined and functional. It also features hour markers in Roman numerals and a thin, simple and smooth bezel. The real magic here is how thin the watch is, and how they've managed to imbue a self-winding mechanism in such a small space. Measuring just 5.4mm thick, it features an off-center rotor with guilloche patterns, and a total of 140 different parts. What an impressive feat! For those who believe that telling time is secondary and are fascinated at the mechanical workings of a watch, then number 3, the Breguet Tradition Quantieme Retrograde 7597 is for you. Here, time is told on a small inset guilloche dial with Roman numerals. The bottom of the dial is a hand indicating the retrograde date. The real star of the show are the visible mechanics of the watch, which control the retrograde date indicator, and are the highlight here, rather more prominent than the watch itself, and you can look forward to seeing the Breguet gears and bridges in action. At number 2, we have the Breguet Classique Chronometrie 7727, which is one of the few watches which are supposed to be hand-wound and not automatically wound on this list. As such, it is fitted with a power reserve indicator at the bottom right side of the dial. The dial itself is classic enough, with signature Breguet guilloche vertical patterns. Apart from the power reserve indicator, a small subdial exists at the 12 o'clock marker, indicating 1/10 of a second, and you'll also notice that the dial is off-center and slightly leaning towards the bottom, another habit of the Breguet brand. The Chronometrie 7727 also stands out in its use of silicon parts, which is known to be anti-magnetic and self-lubricating, hence extending the lifespan of the watch's mechanism. Additionally, the sustainability of the watch is also enhanced, with the use of magnetic pivots to fight friction, gravity and shock. The Classique Chronometrie 7727 is all about elegance, timelessness, superb execution, and a slightly dated design that makes Breguet watches so desirable. Coming in at number 1 is the Breguet Tradition 7027. Many will question what actually makes this watch come out on tops, and not something a bit more mechanically complex. To answer this, we must first understand that the Tradition 7027 is a dress watch, something you wear to fancy evening events, like a corporate dinner or a wedding. It's not an automatic watch, and this caters to those who like modern watches, inspired by old-time pocket watches. There is a power reserve indicator at the top, just next to the dial, which takes up about only a quarter of the watch face. The rest is of course taken up by the innards of the watch, which come in several colors including gold and white gold. Darker and differently colored screws add to highlight the complex mechanical workings of this watch, which will no doubt be a fascinating conversation piece. Breguet watches may not have the buzz that surround other established watch brands, but their intricate workmanship and the fact that the founder innovated many of the horological innovations we have today make up for that, by providing watches with a story to tell and craftsmanship to be proud of.